I try to insert various theories from the various directions of my studies, the forums, educational background, in business, in sociology, leadership, in the ministry, and try to make a training manual for my leaders. Because as a campus ministry coordinator, I think it's very important to also have youth who are prepared before they get to college. Because I'm not going to be able to just be moving around and establishing ministries when the people I'm working along are not prepared. So training good leaders back in the homes are very important. So what are the implied assumptions about spiritual but not religious demographics? When you look at the youth of today, you see everybody has a sense of spirituality without being necessarily a part of a religion. They could say, I'm not religious. Maybe I don't go to church on Sundays. Maybe I'm not affiliated to this church, but maybe I have a sense of connection. I have some group of friends that I flow with. Maybe I'm attached to social media. Maybe I have some books I'm reading. Maybe I don't care about God or anything about Christ, but I still feel like there is a sense of worship that I have to belong to. So in that sense, we see that religious commitment is highly opposed to college experience, because when people get to college, they tend to have a paradigm shift where they tend to have the self-help roots, where they think I can do things on my own. Maybe I don't need my parents, I don't need my youth leader, I don't need somebody to be there directing me all the time, but this is me. Let me just try something new. And then we see they are always digitally connected. Snapchat, then trying to get connected with their friends and making sure they know what is going on. So that brings about the fear of missing out when they always want to be in touch with one another. Know that, oh, I went to this party, this was great, maybe this happened and that. Oh, guys, look at me in my dorm, this is what's going on. And they fear that if their friends are not hearing from them or they are not reaching out, they'll be missing out. So they try to be connected digitally. That's what social media is doing to them. So I tried to come to this book by Jonathan Hill, which was also one of the presentations from the forums, which I found very necessary because it had some kind of relation to what my ministry is going through now in terms of the broader church that leaders should be aware of. So we see like emerging adulthood and faith. So the pews of Protestant church today are filled with roughly the same percentage of emerging adults, 18 to 29 years, as 40 years ago. And I chose that, I like the Protestant part because my church is Pentecostal and we have the same experience. So it's not just one side, it is on a broader scale. Everybody is experiencing this. So those who were marginally involved made transitions to fully check out. So there was a time people used to come to church once in a while, maybe they would stay back. And then they move to college and they are out of the church completely. Some people go to college, graduation, they don't come back to the church. They have nothing to do with the church anymore. And you see, going to college does not substantially change religious transactions, but they get disconnected with institutions. Maybe they find another group that they think that is meaningful to them. Maybe I have people who will leave our church and then join another group because a friend introduced another worship to them on campus. Maybe we are not meeting their needs. So as leaders, there is a need to take a deep look at this. And then we also see the public distrust of institutions. They don't see the importance of the church anymore. And it could even be some governmental institutions. Maybe they don't see the need of maybe the hospital when they can't help you if you don't have insurance. So these are the things that we have to look at, especially when it comes to the church in relation to the young adults. And then you see that Protestants often see a hiatus during the young adult years, but go back to church once they become married or have families. And this is happening even in the Pentecostal world, that people will get out all of a sudden, and then when they start having families, when they want to get married, they want a church to bless their marriage, so they start coming back to the church. And when they have families, they think, okay, we need that moral support. We need that support that people will come to our outdooring ceremonies, so people will come to our weddings, so they think there has to be a group that I belong to, so they turn back. And the cultural script that many young adults are reading is one that says religion has a little to do with the face of life. First year college students often put their religious identities in a lockbox, metaphorically, and then they come back to it when, once again, they begin to make families, so they get married. Maybe their wife will be more spiritual and then start drawing them back to the church, or maybe their husband will be deep in their faith and start drawing them back. But in a way, they come back when the family starts to increase. So a question is, how is the church contributing to this? And like I said, my project is to be training leaders. So this is a question that I will ask for discussion. How is the church contributing to this script? And I'm looking at how we generalize the young adults in a broader perspective. We are globally aware, but not persistent to who they are. So we always generalize them. And on the other side, they have that fear of missing out. So I have 5 key components about dealing with them. We have to care about them for their sake. By understanding that we as leaders have been in their positions before, understanding that we are advancing knowledge, we are advancing faith. So when we look at them as even Jesus looked at sinners, we will be able to have that compassion and passion for them, that we'll be able to work alongside. And then we also have to embrace them. Some of these young adults are very strong in their area of expertise. Some of them are very talented. They could do things that we cannot even do. So we have to embrace those giftings and those talents. And then we have to build a stronger relationship, which is a key with teens and mentorship. So for example, if I have a young adult who wants to become a medical doctor, I have to be able to connect that person to somebody who is a medical doctor without putting a church stamp on what I did. It shouldn't be a whole church activity to connect somebody to another person who can train a person. And then we make space. We make space for them to make mistakes and then correct them. We just be a guide. So sometimes, instead of just being on them all the time, you just make space for them to also come to you openly, and then you could help them. And then we give real leadership. We don't talk nice as to you have to do this and I'll give you that. Give real leadership. If we have to discipline them, they have to go through discipline. If we have to love them, we have to love them. So I also try to insert a portion of this book title I picked from the forum, which is Do Something Else. So as leaders, we also need to do something. We have to change the things we do. It shouldn't always be conference camps and all these. There are other things that could even be suggested by these young ones that we can implement and work with. So I also use the escalator scenario, which we're not gonna watch because we all watched before. So we have to do something else. And this is the press house idea that I also incorporated in this, that it's a campus ministry. It's at the same time a dormitory. So you come in and then automatically you are part of a community. There's no stamp that you have to be a Christian to come in here. But once you come in, everything we do, the activities, will automatically pull you towards some sense of being. So I also come to 10 values that I personally have established as a Christian leader. And this is part of a project I did at Pillar College. To skip a class, I did a personal study on entrepreneurship. So they gave me 3 credits instead of taking a class. And I thought this is worth sharing because I read a book by Killen, 1970. I tried to choose that old book because even as old as this book is, it still makes sense in the present times. And you see, value is an idea, a concept about what someone thinks is important in life. When a person values something, he or she deems it worthwhile, worth having, worth doing, or worth trying to achieve it. So if, for example, if office employees can look upon their work lives as making a real gift, not only to their co-employees and the firm, but also to humanity at large, they may find chance for satisfying their love, esteem, and self-actualization needs. So when we do this, this is having a passion to change humanity. So we are adapting to the world and at the same time not adapting it. So this is something that we are able to give to others. And then the following are the 10 values in my Christian leadership. I decided to list these 10 values, and it's been very helpful in my leadership. The first one is obedience. I'm not gonna read for the sake of time, but the first one is obedience, and I have some references that we should be obedient to God and our leadership. Another value is accountability. When everything is not just us, we have people to check on us. We have people to report to. We have people to be able to comment and make inputs in whatever we are doing. The third one is respect. Respect is a reciprocal thing, that you don't have to tell somebody to respect you, but you just respect the person and the person give you back to you. And this is something we have to see even among our co-leaders, that we have to be able to allow everybody to feel at home. And then creativity. Creativity is working ahead of time, like always thinking, being on top of the game, because you don't want to sit down for everything to come up and then you are repeating what you did 3 years ago. So for the past 10 years, you've been doing the same thing over and over, and people will start leaving because they don't see the sense of their being. So being able to think and plan ahead brings productivity. I always want to plan ahead so there is no repetition in the same type of activities or the same method of doing something over and over. The next one is wisdom. Fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. The journey to wisdom quite obviously begins with much earlier. And I tried to quote Socrates. He used to say that unexamined life is not worth living. He meant that we should reflect periodically on what we are doing and why we are here throughout our life. So at a point you have to pause and go over what you're doing. Is it making sense? If it's not making sense, you have to start. For example, when I became a district leader, the previous leadership used to have a telephone conference every Monday as to bring all the youth in the district. And for 1 year, we meet on the line, 8 people are showing up. And then we have about 400 members. So I decided with my leadership to stop it and then do something else, because we can't make reports that we are having a telephone conference where 8 out of 400 members are showing up and we feel happy that something is going on in the ministry. So we changed it and then we did something else anyway. We also have to be courteous in whatever we do. And courtesy is a friendly, considerate, and sincere attitude in dealing with people, whether in person or by phone or by post. It is a manner that puts people at ease and gives them pleasant memories of us. it is goodwill on our part, and it creates goodwill towards us. It is the art of giving due to consideration to people who we meet, the art of appreciating them and their viewpoints. The basis of courtesy is sincere friendliness. So we have to be friends with everybody. We have to allow them to remember us, and it's the indication we make, or the connection we make with them, that puts a sense of remembrance in them, that, okay, I know who George is, or I know who Andy is. The next value is service. Service. And service is serving in the sense that we are getting a reward from God, not man rewarding us. So service is one of my key values in my leadership. And honesty. Honesty is being very honest in all I'm doing. Let your yes be yes and your no be no. So I'm always faithful and loyal to God in my true leadership. Being honest is a key component. Knowledge. Knowledge is something you know. The main cause of many leaders failing these days is due to lack of knowledge. If you know and have proof of what you are talking about, you are able to defend it. We have to be reading, we have to be researching, we have to be connecting, we have to be having resource, because as leaders, some leaders are still the same, and then they are like the youth are going to college, they are gaining different sorts of knowledge, and they are coming back, and you still, as a leader, the same person. You are not reading, you are not learning, and it will get to a time that they don't see your importance anymore because they know more than you. Yeah. So the next one is evaluation. Maybe every 6 months, every year, you have to evaluate what you're doing. Let people come in, maybe your board of leadership. Let them go over what you're doing and make sure next year you have something in plan. So this also brings the Friedman's theory of differential leadership. We're not gonna watch because we watch at the, this is for my leaders. So my idea is, after all these, in a broad way of going over the leadership, we come to a community where we value and we foster deep relationships. We have personal transformation, we have social transformation, and then people find their purpose. And when we see creativity, we also see accountability. So everything we are doing will come to a broad sense of, moving on. And this is another question I took. If God we should, is rhetorical to everybody. I come to a second topic. My training is in different topics, so I'll be training leaders in various dimensions. So this is interpersonal communication. This is a project I also came through my graduate studies at Liberty University. I was studying human services counseling in life coaching. So it's an interpersonal communication project that underlined my overarching goals, enlarging my conversation, my background and behavioral blend, interpersonal communication barriers and ways to overcome them, my noise pollutions and ways to prevent them, and my action plan for carrying out my goals. So my overarching goals is to personally advance in my communication, and then to become an attentive listener. Become an attentive listener, to be uniquely me in whatever I'm doing. So communication is a key factor that we need to implement in our leadership. And this is how we can enlarge our conversation. I'm gonna run through the slides because of time. And then I brought a background in here, not to show who I am, but I'm coming against intimidation. Sometimes we should use who we are to overcome intimidation. Sometimes we should not allow who we are to also intimidate others. That's why I brought the background perspective into this. I'm gonna run quickly. I hope I can. I'm gonna skip all these, and then go to, let's do it from here. Okay. All right, this is something I want to bring about. Okay, so this is an approach that I try to bring. It's a passion-centered approach, and I title it Know First. And knowing first is trying to have an idea of a person or the people we are dealing with, and these are the learning objectives that this approach will bring. We'll be able to learn about the differences in the youth and the students we are serving. Participants will learn how to create passion-centered plan for the youth, and then we will be able to design a template to help them move. So the passion-centered approach is based on the theory and the philosophy of Jesus Christ. It is a non-directive approach to being with another that believes in the other's potential. So we'll be able to believe in the people we are working with, and then not intimidate them, or they'll intimidate us. And then I come to, I'm gonna skip this. I come to campus ministry, which is what I'm doing right now. But I thought of trying to have this broad manual to train leaders before they send their students to the campuses, and then it will be easier because they already know. So campus ministry, I have the 5 whys. This is campus ministry. The 5 whys of campus ministry. What is campus ministry? Why do we need campus ministry? Who should do campus ministry? When and where to do campus ministry? And if you want a definition of campus ministry, it could be all of this. This is my church's campus ministry, Pentecostals and Associates. It depends on the type of church you have. And then at the end of the day, we form community. We develop leaders out of the campus ministry. Most of our church leaders are those who were leaders on campuses. And we have personal development, we form conscience, and then we have peace. We educate people for peace and justice. This is one of the recent campus ministries we have. But this was William Paterson Campus Ministry. This is Rutgers University Campus Ministry. This is how they do their weekly meetings. I visited them one, I think November 2nd, they had a group discussion on dealing with stress on campus. So this is all about my presentation. We have an upcoming event if you can make it. Thank you.
One book recommendation that I think you would really like is James K. A. Smith.
James K. A. Smith.
Yeah, I don't know if you've read anything of his, but it would go really interestingly with the value conversation that you were having in your presentation too. He's written all about cultural liturgies and how they form and inform our worship and our love. So it would be an interesting conversation partner with, with
Thank
that.
you, James K. A. Smith.
Yeah. Thank you to George. What a robust project you did, and I know you were doing it you were sort of covering more ground than just the certificate in theology program. So we are incredibly grateful for that. We're gonna move to Amelia so that